The emergency alarm screamed through the metal hallways of Galactic Medical Station Data 7. Red lights flashed on every wall, every door, every corner. The sound was loud enough to wake the dead, and it meant only one thing. Something very bad had happened. Dr. Yuna Kim was eating her lunch when the alarm started. She dropped her sandwich and ran. Her feet hit the cold metal floor hard as she pushed through crowds of aliens, all moving in different directions. Some were running toward the emergency. Most were running away from it. She reached the main medical bay in 2 minutes. What she saw there made her stop breathing for a moment. A Vorath cargo ship had crashed into the station's docking bay. The ship was broken and burning. Smoke filled the air. But that was not the scary part. The scary part was what had crawled out of that ship. A Krillax. Yuna had read about them in her training books. Everyone in the galaxy knew about the Krillax. They were monsters. Real monsters. Not the kind from children's stories. The kind that made grown soldiers cry and run away. This one was 12 feet tall. Its body was covered in hard armor that looked like black stone. It had 4 arms, each one ending in claws that could cut through metal like butter. Its mouth was full of teeth. So many teeth. And its eyes. 4 of them. Each one bigger than Yuna's fist. Red and angry and full of pain. The creature was hurt. Badly hurt. A huge piece of metal was stuck in its chest. Green blood was pouring out of the wound and making a pool on the floor. The Krillax was screaming. Not a human scream. Something deeper. Something that shook the walls and made Yuna's bones vibrate. All around her, the alien medical staff was running away. Dr. Pelax, the head surgeon, pushed past her with his tentacles waving wildly. His skin had turned white with fear. "Run, human!" he shouted. "Run now! It will kill us all." The Fethri nurses were already gone. Their bird-like bodies had carried them away fast. The Orvan orderlies, usually so brave and strong, were hiding behind overturned tables. Even the security robots had backed away to the far corners of the room. Everyone was leaving. Yuna stood alone in the middle of the medical bay. The Krillax was 30 feet away from her. It was thrashing on the floor, breaking everything it touched. Medical beds flew across the room. Machines exploded into pieces. The floor cracked under its weight. "Dr. Kim," a voice shouted through the speakers on the ceiling. It was Commander Tom Davis, the human who ran this station. "Get out of there right now." "That is an order." Yuna did not move. She was scared. Of course, she was scared. She would have been stupid not to be scared. But she was also a doctor. She had taken an oath. She had promised to help anyone who needed help. Anyone. No matter what they looked like. No matter where they came from. No matter how scary they were. And this creature needed help. "Dr. Kim," the commander shouted again. "Do you hear me? Leave now." "I hear you, Commander," Yuna said quietly. Her voice was shaking a little, but her feet stayed still. "But I cannot leave. That thing is a Krillax. Do you understand? They are killing machines. They feel no pain. They show no mercy. When one of them gets hurt, they go into something called a pain rage. They destroy everything around them until they die. You cannot help it. You can only die with it." Yuna watched the creature. It was still screaming, still breaking things. But she noticed something the others had missed. Between the screams, there were other sounds. Quieter sounds. Sounds that almost seemed like crying Dot and its eyes. Those 4 huge red eyes. They were not just angry. They were scared. The creature was terrified. It was hurt and alone and surrounded by strangers who were running away from it. It was dying, and no one would help it. Yuna had seen that look before. She had seen it in human patients who thought they were going to die alone. The look of someone who had given up hope. The look of someone who believed that no one in the universe cared about them. She took a step forward. "Dr. Kim, stop!" Commander Davis shouted. She took another step. The Krillax's head turned toward her. Its four eyes locked onto her small body. It was like being stared at by a mountain that could crush her with one finger. The creature growled. The sound was like thunder, like an earthquake, like the end of the world. Yun kept walking. "You are insane," Commander Davis said through the speakers. His voice was not angry anymore. It was sad, like he was already saying goodbye to her. "You are going to die." "Maybe," Yuna said. She was close now, close enough to smell the creature. It smelled like blood and metal and something else, something almost like fear. "But if I run away, I will have to live with that choice forever. And that is worse than dying." She stopped 5 feet away from the Krillax. The creature was looking at her. Its claws were raised. Its mouth was open. One swipe of those claws would cut her in half. One bite from those teeth would end her life in a second. But she did not run. She raised her hands slowly, showing that she had no weapons, showing that she meant no harm. "Hello," she said softly. Her voice was gentle, calm, like she was talking to a scared child instead of a monster. "My name is Yuna. I am a doctor. I am here to help you." The Krillax did not attack. It did not move. It just stared at her with those 4 huge eyes. Its breathing was fast and ragged. Its body was shaking. "I know you are scared," Yuna continued. "I know you are hurt. I know everyone is running away from you. But I'm not going to run. I am going to stay right here. Because you need help. And helping people is what I do." She took one more step forward. Now she was close enough to touch the creature if she reached out her hand. "Easy, buddy," she whispered. "I have got you." And in the watching eyes of 100 alien species, something impossible happened. The Krillax, the most feared predator in the galaxy, lowered its claws. Its screaming stopped. Its body became still. It looked at the tiny human woman standing before it. And it waited. The medical bay was silent now. The alarms had stopped. The running had stopped. Even the Krillax had stopped screaming. The only sound was the creature's heavy breathing and the quiet drip of green blood falling onto the metal floor. Yuna stood very still. Her heart was beating so fast she could hear it in her ears. Her hands were shaking, but she kept them raised where the creature could see them. She did not want to make any sudden moves. One wrong step and she would be dead. The Krillax was watching her. Its 4 red eyes moved up and down her body. It was studying her, trying to understand what she was, trying to figure out why this tiny creature was not running away like all the others. "I am going to come closer now," Yuna said slowly. "I need to look at your wound. Is that okay?" The creature did not answer, but it did not attack either. Yuna decided to take that as a yes. She took one small step forward, then another, then another. Each step felt like it took a year. Each step could be her last. But she kept going until she was standing right next to the massive creature. Up close, the Krillax was even more terrifying. Its armor was covered in scars from old battles. Its claws were as long as her arm. Its teeth were yellow and sharp, and there were more of them than she could count. The smell of blood was so strong it made her eyes water, but she also saw things she had not noticed before. The way its body was trembling, the way its breathing was too fast, the way one of its claws was holding its wound, trying to stop the bleeding. These were not the actions of a mindless killing machine. These were the actions of a living being. Terrible pain. "That looks really bad," Yuna said, looking at the piece of metal in its chest. The shrapnel was the size of a dinner plate, and it was buried deep. How long ago did this happen? The Krillax made a sound. At first, Yuna thought it was a growl, but then she realized it was trying to speak. 3 hours, it said. Its voice was like rocks grinding together. Speaking common was clearly hard for it. Ship, broke, metal, everywhere. 3 hours? Yuna felt her stomach drop. You have been bleeding for 3 hours? No one, help. The creature's voice was getting weaker. Everyone, run. Always run. Yuna felt something twist in her chest. It was not fear anymore. It was sadness. This creature had been hurt and alone for 3 hours. It had probably tried to find help. It had probably gone to other ships, other stations. And everywhere it went, people ran away. Because it was a Krillax. Because everyone knew that Krillax were monsters. But monsters did not say, "No one help," in that broken, sad voice. Monsters did not hold their wounds with shaking claws. Monsters did not look at you with eyes full of fear and pain and a tiny, desperate hope. Well, I am here now, Yuna said firmly, and I am not going to run. I promise. She turned to look at the medical equipment scattered around the room. Most of it was broken. The Krillax had destroyed almost everything during its pain rage, but she could see some things that might still work. A scanner, some surgical tools, medical patches. It was not much, but it was something. I need to scan your wound, she said, to see how bad it is inside. The scanner might feel a little cold. Try not to move, okay? The Krillax gave a small nod. Such a human gesture from such an alien creature. Yuna picked up the scanner and turned it on. It hummed quietly as she moved it over the creature's chest. The screen showed her things that made her breath catch in her throat. The shrapnel had gone deep. Very deep. It was touching something that looked important. Probably an organ. If she pulled the metal out without being careful, the creature would bleed to death in minutes. Is bad? The Krillax asked. It had been watching her face. Yuna looked up at those 4 red eyes. She could lie. She could tell the creature everything would be fine. But she had never lied to a patient before, and she was not going to start now. Yes, she said honestly. It is bad. The metal is very deep. If I tried to take it out, you might die. But if I leave it in, you will definitely die. Either way, this is going to be very dangerous. The Krillax was quiet for a long moment. Then it made that grinding sound again. Yuna realized it was laughing. A sad, tired laugh. Funny, it said. Krillax. Supposed to be scary, supposed to be strong. But I am scared, very scared. That is okay, Yuna said softly. Being scared does not mean you are weak. It means you understand how serious this is. Only stupid people are never scared. You, not scared? Yuna smiled a little. I am terrified. My hands have not stopped shaking since I walked in here. But I am still going to help you. Because that is what doctors do. We help people even when we are scared. The Krillax stared at her. Something changed in its eyes. The fear was still there. But now there was something else too. Something that looked almost like wonder. You, strange human, it said. I get that a lot, Yuna admitted. A sound came from across the room. Footsteps. Yuna turned her head and saw another human walking toward them. It was Dr. James Park, her colleague and friend. He was pale and sweating and looked like he might throw up at any moment. But he kept walking until he reached her side. I could not let you do this alone, James said. His voice was shaky but determined. If you were going to die doing something crazy, I should die too. We are partners, after all. Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes. James, you do not have to do this. Yes, I do. He looked at the Krillax with wide, scared eyes. Then he took a deep breath and nodded. So, what do we need to do? The Krillax watched this exchange with obvious confusion. Two humans. Two tiny, weak, soft creatures. Willing to risk their lives for someone they had never met. Someone everyone else had abandoned. Why? The creature asked suddenly. Why? Help me? I am Krillax, your people. Fear us. Hate us. We are monsters. Yuna turned back to face the massive creature. She reached out her hand and placed it gently on its armored chest, right next to the wound, right where she could feel its heart beating fast and hard. You are not a monster to me, she said simply. You are my patient, and I take care of my patients. All of them, no matter what anyone else says. The Krillax made a sound, a soft sound, almost like a whimper. One of its huge claws moved slowly toward Yuna. She did not flinch. She did not back away. She just watched as the claw came closer and closer until it rested gently on her shoulder. So gently, like the creature was afraid it might break her. Thank you, it whispered. No one, ever. Thank you. Thank you. Yuna patted the claw on her shoulder. Save your thanks for after I save your life. Now, let us get to work. The next 3 hours were the hardest of Yuna's life. She had done difficult surgeries before. She had saved patients that other doctors had given up on. But she had never done anything like this. Operating on a species she had never studied. Using tools that were half broken. With the whole galaxy watching through security cameras, and the patient was awake for all of it. That was the worst part. Krillax bodies did not respond to normal medicine. Painkillers did not work on them. Sleep drugs did not work on them. Whatever Yuna did to save this creature's life, the creature would feel every single moment of it. I am sorry, she said for the 100th time as she cut into the thick armor around the wound. I am so sorry. I wish I could make this stop hurting. The Krillax said nothing. Its 4 eyes were squeezed shut. Its whole body was shaking. Green blood was pouring out faster, now as Yuna worked to reach the piece of metal buried inside. But not once did it strike out. Not once did it try to hurt her. It just lay there, trusting her completely. James stood beside her, handing her tools and wiping away blood so she could see. His face was pale green, and she knew he was fighting not to be sick. But he stayed. He did not leave. How are you doing, buddy? Yuna asked the creature. She had started calling it buddy from the beginning, and now it felt natural. Still with me? Still. Here, the Krillax growled. His voice was rough with pain. Hurts. Very much. I know. I know it does. But you are being so brave. The bravest patient I have ever had. Through the speakers, Commander Davis's voice came through. He had been quiet for most of the surgery, just watching. But now he spoke. Dr. Kim, I need you to know something. The Krillax Dominion has been contacted. They know one of their people is here. They are sending a ship. Yuna did not look up from her work. That is good, right? They can take him home after this. You do not understand. The Krillax do not rescue their wounded. They end them. Quickly. They believe dying in weakness is shameful. Their ship is coming to kill him, not save him. Yuna's hands stopped moving. She looked up at the ceiling, even though she knew the commander could not see her face. How long until they get here? 2 hours. Maybe less. 2 hours. She had been working for 3 hours already, and she was not even halfway done. There was no way she could finish in time. Then, we better work faster, she said, and went back to cutting. The Krillax had heard everything. Its eyes opened and looked at her with something like confusion. You still help? It asked. Even if My people come? Even if dangerous for you? Yes. Why? Una paused. She had blood on her hands. Green blood. Alien blood. Her arms were tired. Her back was screaming in pain. She had not eaten or drunk anything in hours. And in 2 hours, a ship full of warrior aliens was going to arrive and probably kill everyone in this room. Why was she still doing this? She thought about the question for a moment. Then she looked into those 4 red eyes and gave the only answer that made sense. Because you asked me for help? She said simply. And when someone asks me for help, I help them. That is who I am. That is who humans are supposed to be. The Krillax stared at her for a long, long time. Then it did something she did not expect. It laughed. A real laugh this time. Not sad or tired. Almost happy. Humans? Very strange, it said. Very stupid. Very wonderful. Una smiled. We try. She went back to work, cutting, cleaning, stopping blood flow, finding the piece of metal buried deep in alien flesh. It was slow, careful work. One wrong move, and she would hit something important. One wrong cut, and the creature would die. But she did not make wrong moves. She did not make wrong cuts stop minute by minute, piece by piece. She worked her way deeper into the wound. James watched her with amazement. How are you staying so calm? He whispered. How are you not shaking? I am shaking, Una admitted. But my hands know what to do. I have done this 1,000 times. Different patients. Different species. But surgery is surgery. Bodies are bodies. You find the problem and you fix it. Finally, after another hour of work, her fingers touched something hard and smooth. The metal. She had reached it. I found it, she announced. I am going to start pulling it out now. This is going to be the hard part. Harder than before? The Krillax asked weakly. I am afraid so. The metal is stuck to something inside you. I have to pull it free very carefully, or you will bleed to death. This is going to hurt worse than anything you have ever felt. The creature was quiet for a moment. Then one of its massive claws reached out and wrapped around Una's wrist. Not hard, not tight, just holding on, like a child holding its mother's hand. I trust you. It said that those 3 words hit Una harder than anything else had that day. This creature, this feared warrior from a species that trusted no one, was putting its life completely in her hands. Okay, she said softly. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. She pulled out. The Krillax screamed. It was the loudest, most terrible sound Una had ever heard. The walls shook. The floor cracked. James fell backward and covered his ears. Even the security cameras seemed to shake Dot, but Una did not stop. She could not stop. She pulled and pulled and pulled until finally, the piece of metal came free. Green blood exploded from the wound. So much blood. Too much blood. Una moved faster than she had ever moved before, grabbing medical patches and pressing them against the wound, trying to stop the bleeding. Come on, she whispered. Come on, buddy. Stay with me. Do not die now. Not after all this. Stay with me. The Krillax's eyes were closed. Its breathing was shallow. Its body had stopped shaking. For one horrible moment, Una thought she had failed. Then the creature's eyes opened. 4 red eyes, looking right at her. Still. Here. It whispered. Yun let out a breath she did not know she had been holding. Tears started running down her face. She did not try to stop them. Yeah, she said, laughing and crying at the same time. Yeah, you are still here. And you are going to stay here. I am not done with you yet. James crawled back to his feet. Is it okay? Yuna looked at the wound. The bleeding was slowing down. The patches were working. The creature's breathing was getting stronger. "He's going to be okay," she said. "He's going to live." And somewhere in the distance, the sound of engines grew louder. The Krillax ship was coming. The Krillax warship was massive. It was black and covered in spikes, and it looked like death itself had built it. When it appeared outside the station's windows, every alien on board started running for the escape pods. They knew what was coming. They had heard the stories. When Krillax came for their wounded, they did not leave witnesses, but the humans stayed. Commander Davis had ordered an evacuation, but Yuna and James refused to leave. They stayed in the medical bay with their patient, who was now resting after the surgery. The creature's wound was closed and healing. Its breathing was normal. For the first time in hours, it looked peaceful. "You should go," the Krillax said quietly. It had learned that the humans called it Shadow from the translation of its real name, and it seemed to like that. "My people will not show mercy. They will kill everyone who helped me. That is our way." "Then your way is stupid," Yuna said simply. She was sitting next to Shadow, cleaning her surgical tools. Her hands were finally steady again. "You were hurt. We helped you. That is not something to be punished for. In my culture, being hurt means being weak, and weakness is the greatest shame. Better to die fighting than live as a broken thing. You are not broken." Yuna looked up at those 4 red eyes. "You survived. You went through something terrible, and you came out the other side. That is not weakness. That is strength." Shadow made that grinding sound the meant it was thinking. "Your people see things differently. Some of us do. The good ones, anyway." The doors to the medical bay suddenly opened with a loud crash. Yuna jumped to her feet. James grabbed a surgical knife, even though they both knew it would be useless against what was coming. 3 Krillax warriors walked into the room. They were even bigger than Shadow. Each one was covered in battle armor decorated with the teeth and claws of things they had killed. Their eyes glowed with a fierce red light. Every step they took made the floor shake. The leader stopped in front of Yuna. It was twice her height and probably 50 times her weight. Its claws could cut her in half with no effort at all. "Move, small creature," it growled. "We have come for the broken one." Yuna did not move. "No," she said. The warrior seemed surprised. Its head tilted to one side, like a dog hearing a strange noise. "You dare to say no to me? Do you know who I am?" "I do not care who you are. This is my patient. He is under my care, and I will not let you hurt him." The warrior laughed. It was a terrible sound, like bones breaking. "You think you can stop us? You are nothing. A tiny, soft, weak thing. I could kill you with one finger." "Maybe you could," Yuna agreed. Her voice was calm, even though her heart was beating so fast she thought it might explode. "But it would not change anything. You would still be wrong, and I would rather die doing the right thing than live as a coward." The warrior stared at her. Behind it, the other 2 Krillax exchanged looks. They had clearly never seen anything like this before. A human standing against 3 Krillax warriors, refusing to back down. It was insane. It was impossible. It was completely, absolutely crazy, and yet she was doing it. "Interesting," the leader said slowly. "You have fire in you, small creature. More fire than most species I've met." It leaned closer, its face just inches from Yuna's. "But fire is not enough. Stand aside or die." "No." The warrior's claw rose into the air. Yuna closed her eyes. She thought about her family back on Earth. Her mother, her father, her little brother who always used to steal her food. She hoped they would be proud of her. She hoped they would understand why she could not run away The claw started to come down Dodd, and then a voice roared through the room. "Stop!" The warrior's claw froze in midair. Everyone turned to look at Shadow, who had somehow risen from the medical bed and was now standing on shaky legs. Green blood was seeping through his bandages, but his eyes were fierce and bright. "If you harm this human," Shadow said, his voice stronger than Yuna had ever heard it, "you will have to kill me first." The lead warrior sneered. "You are already broken, Shadow. You have no standing here. You have no honor left to defend." "Honor?" Shadow laughed bitterly. "What do you know of honor? You call it honorable to kill the helpless? You call it honorable to destroy those who show kindness?" He took a shaky step forward, putting himself between the warriors and Yuna. "This human saved my life. When I was dying, when everyone else ran away, she stayed. She touched me without fear. She called me buddy. Another step. She showed me more honor in 6 hours than I have seen from my own people in 200 years. The warriors looked at each other, uncertain now. "Shadow, you speak madness," the leader said. "She is just a human. A weak species from a weak planet. They mean nothing. They mean everything." Shadow's voice was rising now, filled with a passion Yuna had never expected. "Do you not see? Do you not understand? We call ourselves the strongest in the galaxy. We pride ourselves on our power, our ferocity, our ability to destroy. But what has it brought us? Fear, hatred, loneliness. Every species runs from us. No one will trade with us. No one will ally with us. We are alone in a universe that hates us." He pointed at Yuna with one trembling claw. "And then this tiny creature, this soft, weak human, showed me something I have never seen before. Compassion, kindness, courage. That has nothing to do with claws or teeth or killing." She stood before a monster and said, "Easy, buddy." She saw past what I looked like and treated me as a person. No one has ever done that for any Krillax, ever. The room was completely silent. Shadow turned to face his fellow warriors directly. "I am not broken," he said firmly. "I am changed. This human changed me, and I will not let you harm her, even if I have to fight all 3 of you with my bare claws." The lead warrior stared at Shadow for a long moment. Its red eyes moved from Shadow to Yuna and back again. Something was happening behind those eyes. Something Yuna could not quite understand. Finally, the warrior spoke. "You would really die for this human?" "Yes," Shadow said without hesitation. "Even though she is not your species? Not your family? Not your people? She treated me with kindness when no one else would. That makes her more my people than anyone who shares my blood." The warrior was quiet again. Then, slowly, it lowered its raised claw. "I have fought in 100 battles," it said. "I have killed more enemies than I can count. I have never known fear. But today, standing in this room, I feel something I do not recognize." It looked at Yuna. "Is this what your species calls respect?" Yuna blinked in surprise. Yes, I think it is." The warrior nodded slowly. "Then I respect you, small human. You have shown courage that would shame most Krillax." It turned to the other warriors. "We will leave. Shadow will live. And we will report what we have seen here to our council." It started to walk toward the door, then stopped. "What is your name, human?" "Yuna," she said. "Yuna Kim." "Yuna Kim," the warrior repeated, as if tasting the words. "I will remember that name. My people will remember that name." And then they were gone. 3 weeks passed after that day. 3 weeks that changed the galaxy forever. Shadow stayed on the station while he healed. Every day, Yuna came to check on him. She changed his bandages. She monitored his healing. She brought him food that she had specially ordered from Krillax traders. who were shocked that any human would want to buy their supplies. But mostly, they just talked. Shadow told her about his home world, a place of endless war and constant danger. A planet so deadly that most species would die within minutes of landing. He told her about growing up fighting every day just to survive, about earning his name by hunting the most dangerous creatures on his planet alone, about the loneliness of being feared by everyone he met. And Yuna told him about Earth, about blue oceans and green forests and cities full of people, about families who loved each other, about friends who stayed with you even when times were hard, about a species that had almost destroyed itself many times, but always found a way to come together when it mattered. Your world sounds soft, Shadow said one day. It was not an insult. It was almost longing. It is soft in some ways, Yuna agreed. But soft is not always weak. Soft things can bend without breaking. Soft things can absorb damage that would shatter hard things. And soft things can hold other things gently, without hurting them. She patted Shadow's massive claw. You are learning to be soft now. It suits you. Shadow made that grinding laugh sound. My people would be horrified to hear you say that. Then your people need to learn what I am teaching you. Yuna smiled. Being soft is not about being weak. It is about choosing gentleness when you could choose violence. It is about caring for others even when no one forces you to. It is about letting yourself feel things, even when feeling things is scary. Is that why you stayed? Shadow asked. When everyone else ran. Because you chose gentleness? Yuna thought about the question. She remembered standing in that medical bay, looking at a creature that could have killed her with one finger. She remembered the fear, the doubt, the voice in her head telling her to run. I stayed because I saw someone who needed help, she said finally. And I knew that if I walked away, I would never forgive myself. Every life matters, Shadow. Even the scary lives. Even the lives that other people have given up on. If we only show kindness to the things that are easy to love, then our kindness does not mean very much. Shadow was quiet for a long time after that. Meanwhile, news of what had happened on Station Theta 7 spread across the galaxy. At first, people thought it was a joke. A human doctor had saved a Krillax patient? The most feared species in the known universe had backed down because of one tiny human woman. Impossible, ridiculous, clearly a lie. But the security recordings were everywhere. People watched the footage over and over. They watched Yuna walking toward the screaming monster. They watched her put her hand on its chest. They watched her say those words that were now famous across 100 worlds. Easy, buddy. I have got you. The reactions were mixed. Some species called Yuna a hero. Some called her insane. Some called her both. But everyone was talking about her. And everyone was talking about what her actions meant. If a human could show compassion to a Krillax, what did that say about humans? If a Krillax could accept that compassion, what did that say about Krillax? If these two species, so different, so seemingly incompatible, could find common ground, what did that mean for the rest of the galaxy? The answers came slowly. But they came. 1 month after the surgery, a Krillax ambassador arrived at Station Theta 7. This had never happened before. The Krillax did not send ambassadors. They sent warriors. They sent threats. They sent ultimatums, but not this time. The ambassador's name was something that translated roughly to "she who walks between storms." But she told Yuna to call her Storm. She was smaller than most Krillax, with silver patterns on her armor that meant she was very old and very wise. I have come to speak to the human who saved Shadow, Storm said when she arrived. Her voice was softer than any Krillax voice Yuna had heard before. I have watched the recordings many times. I have listened to Shadow's account many times. And I still do not understand. What do you not understand? Yuna asked. Why you did it? Why you risked your life for a stranger? For an enemy? For a monster, as your people call us? Yuna sighed. She had answered this question so many times in the past month. Reporters from a dozen species had asked her. Politicians had asked her. Scientists had asked her. Everyone wanted to know the secret. The reason. The explanation. But there was no secret. There was no complicated reason. There was just the simple truth. Because it was the right thing to do, Yuna said. That is it. That is the whole answer. When I saw Shadow lying there, hurt and scared and alone, I did not see a monster. I saw someone who needed help. And I could not walk away from that. Storm stared at her with those 4 wise old eyes. On my world, she said slowly, we have a saying. The strong survive. The weak die. This is the way of things. This is how it has always been. For 10,000 years, we have lived by this rule. It has made us powerful. It has made us feared. But it has also made us alone. She reached out one claw and very gently touched Yuna's shoulder. You have shown us a different way. A way where the strong protect the weak. Where kindness is not weakness. Where even monsters can be seen as people. She lowered her head in what might have been a bow. My council has sent me to ask if your people would be willing to teach us this way. To help us learn what you have learned. Yuna felt tears forming in her eyes again. She seemed to cry a lot these days. Yes, she said, her voice thick with emotion. Yes, we would like that very much. And that was how the Treaty of Theta 7 began. Not with weapons or threats or shows of force, but with a simple act of kindness. A human doctor who refused to run away. A Krillax warrior who learned to trust. And 2 words that became the foundation of a new alliance. Easy, buddy. 6 months later, Yuna stood on the viewing deck of the station, watching the first joint human Krillax ship launch into space. It was a beautiful thing. Sleek human design combined with powerful Krillax engineering. A symbol of what 2 very different species could create when they worked together. Shadow stood beside her. His wounds were fully healed now, though he would always carry the scars. He had been appointed as the first Krillax ambassador to humanity, a position he took very seriously. That ship is going to change everything, he said quietly. I know, Yuna replied. Because of you. Because you stayed. Yuna shook her head. I just did what any good person would do. No, Shadow's voice was firm. You did what most people only wish they could do. You saw a monster and chose to see a person instead. You were afraid and chose to be brave anyway. You could have walked away, but you chose to stay. He looked down at her with those 4 red eyes that had once been so terrifying and now just looked kind. On my world, we have a new saying now. When someone is scared, when someone is hurting, when someone feels like the whole universe is against them, we tell them what you told me. The words that saved my life. The words that changed my people. He placed his massive claw gently on her shoulder. Easy, buddy. I have got you. Yuna laughed and wiped the tears from her eyes. I started something big, did I not? You started something wonderful, Shadow said. And it is only the beginning. Above them, the joint ship flew toward the stars. Below them, humans and Krillax walked side by side through the station corridors. And all across the galaxy, species that had always feared each other were starting to wonder if maybe, just maybe, there was another way. All because one small human had refused to run. All because she had looked at a monster and seen a friend. All because she had said 2 simple words. Easy, buddy. And the universe was never the same again.